So today I'm going to be making a traditional potato curry. So here I have 5 small to medium potatoes, 3 onions, and I have 1 big tomato. You could have 2 tomatoes if you would like it to be more saucy. I have 3 green chilies. I have 3 ginger cloves, and here I have this is 3 garlic cloves, and here I have 1 ginger. That would be equivalent to 1 garlic clove, so about the same size. And then of course salt is to your taste, and chilies is to your taste. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop my onions, then go ahead and round my potatoes off and chop my tomatoes and start cooking. And this dish should cook in about 30 minutes. So it's a really quick dish, it's really delicious, and it's very healthy. So here I have put in about 4 tablespoons of oil, and my oil is starting to get warmed up, so I'm gonna add just half a tablespoon of salt. I like to add my spices in the oil before the onion because then it cooks through with the oil and makes the dish very aromatic. So I'm gonna now go ahead and add my chopped up spices. So here I have roughly chopped up my ginger, garlic, and green chilies, and I'm gonna go ahead and add it to the oil, and then after that I'm gonna go ahead and add my onions to the oil as well. So here are my spices, adding it to the oil. Just let it fry for about 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go ahead and add the onions. So I've gone ahead and added my onions, and as you can see it's kind of overflowing, but don't worry because once it's caramelized it's going to be much less. And I also have the heat on 4 right now because I want the oil to warm up really fast to help caramelize my onions and take out all the water. And this we're gonna try to caramelize it for about 10 minutes. Make sure you don't burn it. If you think the oil is getting too hot, turn the heat down. And once the onions are completely caramelized, we're going to go ahead add the potatoes, and after the potatoes we'll add the tomatoes. So it's been about 2 minutes that it's caramelizing, and sorry, I meant that after the onions are caramelized, I'm going to go ahead and add the tomatoes, and then after the tomatoes is caramelized with the onions, I'm going to go ahead and add the potatoes. So the potatoes go in last. And at this point, if you think it's taking some time, you can go ahead and put a lid on the onions to help it caramelize faster. So at this point, I've had it covered for about 3 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it, and it looks beautiful. You can also use yellow onions to cook. I usually put red onions in salads and yellow onions for cooking, but since I don't have any yellow right now, I'm just using red, and that's completely okay. And so I'm going to take about half a small tablespoon of zebra powder and just put it in at this point. And I'm also going to go ahead and put half a tablespoon of turmeric just for the color. Turmeric is mostly used for color in cooking, but it also has other good anti-inflammation properties, which is really good. And I'm just mixing it in with just a small spoon so I can get all of the cumin off the spoon. And I use zira because we traditionally use it a lot in Afghan cooking, and it's just for smell and an aromatic taste. So I can see that my onions are almost completely caramelized perfectly and is ready for me to go ahead and put my tomatoes in, which I have chopped up right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my tomatoes at this point to my saucy onions. And also you don't need to caramelize the onions too much because it's going to caramelize further with the tomatoes, and putting the tomatoes in will help it not burn. So what you can do at this point is mix it in really well, and then go ahead and put the cover on for another 2 minutes, and of course checking between so that the bottom doesn't catch. At this point, it's also a really good idea to bring your heat down. So I brought it down to 2.5 right here, so that we don't burn the onions while it's trying to caramelize with the tomatoes. And here I have my potatoes all chopped. So it's about the density that you want it. Some of them are going to be a little bit denser than others, and that's okay. because we will give it enough time to cook thoroughly. And usually the tomatoes will have had enough sauce water left for the potatoes to cook with it. But if you feel that your sauce is too dry, you could add about less than half a cup to a half a cup of water, depending on how much time you need to cook the potatoes in the sauce. And then that way you will have enough time to cook the potatoes thoroughly, and the sauce won't burn, and you will still have that gravy sort of sauce left afterwards. So I'm gonna keep it covered for 3 minutes, and then after that I'm gonna go ahead and add my potatoes. But in the meantime, I want to show you guys a traditional Afghan sauce that we make. It's the yogurt sauce that we use for most curries that are vegetable based, and it just makes the curry very creamy, cuts out some of the like spiciness if it's too spicy, and just cools the curry in your mouth. So this is just some homemade yogurt that I have. You can add a bit of water if you think the consistency is too thick, because you can want the consistency to be like buttermilky, a little less thicker. So what I'm gonna do is, this is just dried mint leaves that are crushed. I'm gonna take just a little bit. This much is enough. If my container was filled with yogurt, then I would put half a big spoon, but since it's not filled up, I'm just going to add that much, and I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. Okay, that's enough. And also this way, if your sauce is not salty enough, this yogurt sauce will help it be salty enough. Traditionally you would also add garlic in here, but I'm not going to add garlic because I already added like three garlic cloves to my sauce. So I don't want it to be too garlicky to the point where, you know, we fall asleep after eating it. So this is it. This is the yogurt sauce that's going to be very cooling and very creamy. And this is it. I like the consistency right now. You want it to be this consistency, you can just add water or add the actual yogurt water to your yogurt to make it this consistency. So this is it, guys. This is the easy yogurt sauce, and yep, it smells really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and check on my curry right now and see how the tomatoes and onions are caramelizing. So guys, it looks like it's caramelizing really nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the heat to 2 right now, and you see after adding the turmeric, the color is so beautiful. So I had here some Unico tomato paste, but I'm not going to add it because I try to stay away from tomato pastes on sauces as much as possible and only use it when necessary, because I like the actual natural taste of actual tomatoes and actual onions together. So I'm not gonna add that in for the color because the color looks very nice and golden brown. So this is the consistency that we want for the sauce. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and add my potatoes and mix it in really well. And if you think it needs a little bit of water, we can go ahead and add a little bit of water to make sure the bottom doesn't catch. So guys, once we add in the potatoes, we're gonna make sure we mix it in really well. And I'd say at this point it's a little dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and just add, there we go, that much water. So I would say this is about half a cup. I don't measure, I just eyeball it. But if you really need to measure, then you can go ahead and take a cup and do half. I'm gonna mix it in to make sure some of the water goes to the bottom, right, so that the bottom of the sauce doesn't catch. And then the heat right now is on 2. And then I'm gonna sorry about my finger, I'm gonna cover the top. It's hard to cook and record at the same time. So then I'm gonna go ahead and cover the top for 5 minutes and see how well it's doing. The point is that we want it to cook simmeringly in the water. So we're gonna cover the top, leave it on for 5 minutes, and then come and check after 5 minutes, but also in between, just so that you can mix everything around so that the bottom doesn't catch. And usually after 15 minutes the potatoes are cooked enough, depending on how thick you cut them. So it's been about 4 minutes, and as you can see how it's bubbling up, that's what we want to get it to cook. And I have put up the heat from 2 to 3 just so that water can start bubbling up faster, which will help us cook our potatoes faster. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the bottom doesn't catch if we put the heat up. So I'm gonna go ahead and check it. And so guys, I checked it, the bottom was catching a little, so I went in and added another half a cup of water. Don't be afraid to add water because we can just dry out the water at the end by opening the top and putting the heat up from the bottom a little. But the most important thing is that you want it to cook without catching. So if you think you need more water, then go ahead and add it. And also while you're mixing it, make sure you take the stuff from the bottom and put it on top, and the stuff on top, put it in the bottom. Like, it's kind of hard for me to show you because I'm using one hand to record, but this is what you want to do, right? And then you want to turn it upside down, so the stuff in the bottom comes up, the stuff on the top goes in the bottom, so everything cooks evenly. And then I'm gonna go ahead and this time cover it for another 5 minutes without opening it, so that our water will start heating up faster and cook our potatoes faster. And this is basically what you're going to keep doing until you have the potatoes cooked to your desired taste, and then you just serve it. That's pretty much it, everyone. So it's been about 3 minutes and it's boiling up really nicely, so I'm going to keep it covered for another 2 minutes like I said, and then come and check on it and see how cooked it is. If you think it's done enough, you can go ahead and serve it. If not, you can leave it on for a few more minutes. But basically the consistency of the sauce and how done you want the potatoes is up to you. As long as the potatoes are cooked and you like how saucy it looks, you can go ahead and serve it. If you think it needs more time, you can keep it covered. If you think it needs more water, you could add more water. Basically after 2 minutes mine should be done. So then after this I'll show you guys what me serving it looks like. And this is basically a dish that could be done under 30 minutes, guys. So it's a quick, smart, delicious dish that's also filling and a good source for your carbs.